See, I am recording this, so I think this, recording it's going to be helpful because I'm probably going to put this online on YouTube, something like that, for Inland Empire WordPress. So let's go through really quick. And first of all, do we have any announcements? First, meetup after WordCamp. WordCamp, Jim, how was your chat? Your talk?
I liked it. There were some things I forgot to mention, but
yeah,
it's one of those things that you got it in your head, and it just never made it to the slides. And then since it didn't make it to the slides, I forgot about it. So
okay. Did you have a lot of questions? Because I was running back and forth from room to room trying to be social media person.
A few. There was a few questions. Yeah.
I think you had a good number of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how you know you gave a good talk.
Yeah, everybody wasn't asleep, and at that time of the morning on a Sunday, I would be.
I think we had some really great talks this year. I'm not gonna lie. Like I personally don't know who the guy is who lined all those talks up, but he did an excellent job.
They were pretty good. I had no losers. They were all winners. So.
That's awesome. Yeah. Cool. All right. So template tags in WordPress, building templates. With Gutenberg and everything that's happening with Gutenberg, my thought is, the whole template system eventually may end up going away. But as I get to looking at template tags more, I don't think they're going anywhere, because even though Gutenberg, acts as the page builder, the only template tag right now it's outputting through is going to be the content area. And it's going to always need to be output through a template tag, And so people slam PHP in, how it is like not as good as Python or JavaScript and all of these things. But PHP has actually gotten a whole lot better. It's really improved. And with WordPress 5.3, there's been more things added for PHP 7.4, right? I was looking at the release notes on that, and they basically were talking about that. So, like with PHP 5. I'm sorry. With PHP 7.4, you get like spread operators, you get arrow functions. I think that's in 7.3 though. But all of this stuff, it looks more like JavaScript. It looks similar to JavaScript, especially like arrow functions and the spread operator. It's starting to look similar to JavaScript, But PHP, in a sense, is like a father to JavaScript, because it's really kind of similar to C. And C is, the granddaddy of them all, you know what I mean? So let's look at some documentation on template tags. I'm just going to share my desktop here. So I pulled up a list of all of the template tags, but really what I want to do is go fundamentally and just kind of cover, what template tags are. And then we'll go through a list of all the template tags. And then we'll look at what's going on with templates and as they're being put together, where are the template tags at and how PHP works together, modularly. Jim, is that you or is that another Jim?
I'm trying to get in via my just rebooted Linux.
Oh, okay. All right.
So he'll be popping in and out.
Right. I was like, we got another attendee. Yeah, and feel free to input anything anywhere, as we chat about this. This is probably like a rerun to you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, Joseph, you presented on template tags last time, right?
The last time we covered this, at the meetup, I presented on it, and that was, oh, that's right. I think I had done conditional tags. Did I do that in the same talk? I don't remember.
Yeah. I think you added conditional tags with it. You have a presentation, I think, that you put together for it.
Oh, right. I think there might be something on our blog. The nice thing about these template tags, and going back to what you were saying about Gutenberg and people saying that templates are going to go away, that would only happen if Gutenberg was putting out proper markup. You know what I mean? For
Right.
things like headers and footers, and I'm sure that's possible at some point. You can control that stuff within a block system, but template tags are really what generate all those class tags that we love to style, and
Right.
and it's what tells our browser and our CSS the difference between the home page and a post page, quite frankly.
So like the body template tag, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you look in the body class
Body class tag.
of a WordPress page, there's a big old long thread of tags that will say stuff like template dash page dash full width or something like that, and a lot of that's coming from template tags.
Right.
All that
So if we go
information
over
that you can-
to, I'm going to go to the live version of this website really quick, and we'll look at that really quick. Let's see. So if we go over here to the front end of this bleedingedgedev.cc website, and I open up JavaScript Inspector, then I go over to Elements, and right here inside of body class, that home, you mean this right here? All of these?
A lot of those tags, and it's certainly not limited to that, but a lot of template tags are responsible for what you see in your HTML. And in particular, in this case, class tags that you can set in your cascading style sheets or your jQuery or your JavaScript to basically do something.
Right. So this is coming from likely from page, because we need to go. This is actually the theme. This is a 2020 theme that I'm looking at.
Okay.
The brand new theme that they installed. And so if I go over here to templates, actually it's 2020 template parts. Is it template parts or templates? So template cover, template full width. There should be a page.php somewhere in here. Where is that at? Singular, header, footer. Maybe they don't include page that inside of here, but if I go here, let's see. Main, so maybe it's in the header. Let's go to header really quick. Header, so you got body. Okay, so you got body class function right there.
Yeah.
So body class function is producing all of these classes inside of here.
Yep, that's a template tag for you.
Yeah, so we got this body class template tag that is right inside of the body HTML element, but since this is being rendered on the server, when it outputs to the screen, you get all of these classes that you can grab with CSS and style each page individually, which is really, really helpful. I love the body class function because it makes it so easy for you to target in on specific page templates, or you could even go by page ID. That's probably less efficient, or you can go by, like the type of page it is, because it says singular. So there's a difference in like a singular page and a single page, because a singular page is usually it's usually a post that's been clicked on, and it takes you to the actual post, like the full post. That's what singular from my study was, but I may be wrong.
Yeah, I always get the two mixed up, single and singular.
Yeah, because it's kind of a semantic difference that WordPress makes of it. But we may come over that. We may come by that. So let's look at a little bit of the docs here. Template tags are used within your blog's templates to display information dynamically or otherwise customize your blog. It's dynamic because it's rendered on the server, providing the tools to make it as individual and interesting as you are. Below is a list of general user tags available in WordPress, sorted by function specific category. So they've got stepping into template tags, an introduction to templates, so we'll talk about that maybe a little bit. Anatomy of a template tag, details of how to put tags into template files, how to pass tag parameters, details on how to use parameters with tags, include tags, additional tags related to including one template tag within another, conditional tags. You said you added that to your presentation last time. This, like the conditional tag is super helpful too, right?
Oh yeah. In the case of a conditional tag, you can do that to, in my example back then, I was doing a bunch of if statements. So if something is in a certain category, then do this thing would be a conditional tag.
Right. Do you happen to have that accessible anywhere? You want to share your screen in a minute?
The blog post, or I might have it. Let me take a look.
All right. So I'm going to go back over here, though. And first, talk about a little bit about, because other people are going to view this, what a WordPress theme is. So this was brought up in the beginner's day. A lot of people were confused about what a WordPress theme is. And a WordPress theme is a collection of files that they make an entire theme, but each file is a particular template. So a particular like index.php is a template file, you know, or header.php is a template file. So the weird thing that a lot of people don't get, or a lot of people don't understand, is that usually within one page load, you have several files that are loaded. So you'd have header, index, and footer loading in the browser all at one time. And so, but inside of each one of these pages, you have lots of template tags, variables, hooks, you know, filters, all kinds of stuff. But template tags help you build out those templates. So like, for instance, here inside of the index file, we've got several different, you know, we got conditional statements, got an else statement. If this is home, this is actually a conditional template tag right here. So, and then we have get the archive title. And I actually use this code feature, this feature within Visual Studio Code that gives you kind of like the documentation on this. So it's like retrieve the archive title based on the queried object. So there'd be the title of whatever archive file or whatever archive post is being output at the moment. And then there's the description of whatever archive description is being output at the moment inside of the loop. So, you know, WordPress goes through and it looks through the database to see, okay, are there any archives, you know? And this is after a person would search. And then if they find anything according to that search, you know, then they begin to output these things into an archive page, you know? And so these are some template tags right here. All right. You want to add anything to that, Jim?
Oh yeah, I can take over the screen if you don't mind. I found that article on our blog.
Awesome, yeah.
So let me see if I can figure out how to take that over. How do I request to take over the screen? over in
You
here.
could click share at the bottom.
Oh, at the bottom. Gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
And then you're gonna have to, yeah, there you go.
Are you seeing it? Okay, so over on our blog, it looks like I posted this back in March after our meetup. It was a introduction to conditional tags. In the sense of conditional tags, you're looking for true or false statements. And this can come in really handy if you're looking for something to be true, to do something, but also if you're looking for something to be false, don't do something. So in this introduction, I think what I did is I created a way to display the author's metadata within the post. So let me zoom in a little bit. You guys are probably seeing this kind of small.
Oh, there's text. Cool.
Yeah. So this is actually a really simple situation where if we go to the top where it says check if the page is an author archive or a post, it looks like I had a typo in there, and it's checking if it's the author or a single post. And then based on those situations, it will output the about the author code and the author's email. So there's, of course, the actual code itself right here, checking if it's one of those two templates, and then pulling out the information. And of course, if it isn't, then don't do anything, because you don't want to grab the author on, like, say, a series of blog post pages. It might just display all of your various authors within a group. So in this example over here, it's basically what I'm saying is that it grabs this information from the biographical information and the email address.
Right.
And so at that time, I had put this in the 2017 template for is sidebar 1 active. So that's another type of conditional tag that if the sidebar is active, then go ahead and load this information. With 2017, there's a way that you could set it up to remove the sidebars. So you don't want this code loading if it's not available.
Right.
So we'll scroll to the bottom, and I have some screenshots of the results.
Sweet.
So since we, which is convenient, since I don't actually have these files on my computer anymore.
Yeah, that's great.
So what you can see here is in the sidebar, I had done some conditional work for checking the categories and using that as like a pairing thing. So here at the top right, it's grabbing another menu item from this website. But what it's actually doing, what the code I showed you here is grabbing the about the author information and the email address for that account.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's using template tags to grab that biographical info, right?
Yeah, it's using template tags to grab that biographical info, but it's using conditional tags to decide whether or not to retrieve it in the first place based on which template is active.
Which is a powerful combination because you can conditionally allow something to show, whether or not it's available.
Absolutely. If I were to not use conditional tags in this case and just have it load and hide it with CSS, you can imagine that it would eventually impact the speed of a website.
Completely the performance, right?
Right. I mean, in this case, I'm only grabbing a tiny bit of text and information, but you could be grabbing entire blog posts in this method or other bits of information, an entire photo gallery. So conditional tags, will react based on whether or not a certain desired conditions are met. One way I like to use this is with plugins I develop for at my work. If I don't want Google Analytics, for instance, tracking page views on a certain page, I can put a little conditional tag in my footer that says, if this page is an author page, then don't put the analytics script in the bottom of the page. So I've done that for little bits and stuff like that, just to make it for a leaner collection of data as well.
Nice.
For like analytics.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, because you don't want to track certain things, right? That's
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Another way I would want to use this is, let's say I have a slideshow carousel. Maybe I don't want to load that JavaScript on the page unless that carousel is actually active on the page. So
right, and I mean, and that's kind of the common way that, like, one of the ways that I've used it is that if there are scripts that don't need to be loaded, then like that page doesn't need the overhead, and so you can always use some type of conditional tags. I'll show a list of those conditional tags because they're pretty extensive as well. But the most handy template tags that I found are blog info, the blog info tags. And so this is just an example of it. Blog info is the PHP function, and what you're invoking as different parts of an array called blog info, and you can put name or description, which will be the description of the blog. So like if I were to go to the back end, let's just say the dashboard, and I go under
settings
general, and so this information right here I input back here, but if I grab use blog info and use name, it's going to grab this information from the database. And if I use description, it's going to grab this information from the database. So the cool thing is that these template tags are just grabbing information directly from the database. And blog info template tag is a great way to output a bunch of cool things. Like you can use actual blog info URL to link different types of images or link different types of files, or you can just put the URL as a blank URL on the page, admin email grabs the admin email, version grabs the version, and there's an entire, this is an entire array of things. And if I go to the codex page of blog info, there's a whole lot more over here. So it's just a lot of information that's contained within blog info. If you want to output an RSS URL, comments, Atom URL, all kinds of cool stuff. And you could just literally go to developer heaven with something like this. And so I love blog info template tag. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to add that the nice thing about that particular template tag, because it has so many features, you could use that to include more metadata into your header information as well. So let's say you don't want to put the title of your blog in the tab. Maybe you just want the page title. You could do that by going into your child theme and either removing blog info name or whatever is the undesired item from that template part.
Right. So I mean, maybe should I go in really quick and throw around some blog info stuff?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see, because right now I'm looking at, this is my home page. Let's go in, and I'm just gonna go in, and I haven't created a child theme on this, so I'm directly editing 2012. Or
just undo the edits before you go home.
Right. So let's see. Let's go into which template part am I gonna go into, because the way these,
it might be the header actually.
I can go in the header and add it in there. Okay, so got a header.
Add it or remove it. I think it's blog info is usually around there.
Right, right. So here's the header, and let's look at what it looks like on the front end first, really quick, because we've got header, footer right here. Let's go to the browser really quick. And
can you use blog info to query a metadata for the blog?
For the blog, yes. Do you mean like each individual post or in general?
What I've got is we have some meta fields, and one of them is just a bool, and it determines if the particular post, which is actually a custom post type, if they're a premium user or not. And we like to display premium users differently. So if I could use that to just do a query, if blog, if blog info is premium equals true, then lay out a bunch of CSS tags that we could use to style that particular entry different than the rest.
I see what you're saying. The metadata per user, right?
Metadata per post.
Oh, per post.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if you're using like, you could do something like is user author or is user. Oh, let me see. You might want to do that on the user level rather than the blog info level, because the blog info is information.
The user has nothing to do with it.
Are those posts?
Oh.
Is the metadata stored in custom fields?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, blog info wouldn't be used to find custom field information, but what you could do is use the, oh my goodness, it's a real simple way to call custom field stuff.
Some sort of key sequence.
Yeah, and without using ACF. Before ACF came around, I was using custom fields like in the raw. And people just use ACF like crazy now, but that's not the original way to do it. So, all right, so yeah, here it is right here. So you would go in and find out, wait, let's see, metadata. Yeah, you got keys and value pairs, key value pairs. So let's just find the real documentation, because this is not documentation right here. Let's see, customizing, let's see. Nope, let me go back and see if I can find custom field function reference. If you find it before me, Joe, then let me know, because
I will. I have the page up, but I'm trying to remember where it is.
Wait, that's template tag. I'm sorry. Custom field. So look, all its advanced custom field stuff comes up.
Okay, I found it. Let me.
Yeah, go ahead and share.
Let me share it. So I'm not really sure what I'm looking to.
Because it's the key value pair. It's just a function that you call.
Okay, so do you guys see my screen?
Same page.
Oh, are we both on the same page?
Yeah, that's the same page.
Oh, shoot. Oh, you know what? This reminds me that I did not find the documentation on WordPress.org. I found it on WP Beginner.
But look at the bottom, WP Theme Developers Handbook, right there. It's got a link.
Yes, and it did have that, but
you're looking for Get Post Meta.
Get Post Meta.
That's it. Get Post Meta. Yeah. So WP Beginner had a Get Post Meta article that I was looking at.
But what you can do is you can combine. Yes, you can combine Get Post Meta with a conditional tag, and start displaying it like that.
Yeah. Get Post Meta was the one. So that's why I was having trouble finding it, because sometimes it's hard to find stuff. Get Post Meta. Maybe we could find the right one.
I mean, I would, yeah. So I would totally, use a conditional statement with a get post meta, and you can even, like use some regular PHP, like to check if, you know, um, well, I was going to say if it's empty, but you're not looking for if something is empty. You're looking if it's a premium user or a non-premium user.
Yeah, it'll be true or false in the bool. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I have some code. Let me pull it.
Okay, go ahead.
I gave you the screen back, but let me look for some code I have on my computer before, and then I'll take it back.
Go ahead. Share it. Go ahead and share your screen still.
Okay, we'll do. Give me 1 second to find the folder. You can probably hear me typing like crazy.
The funny thing is, okay, so here's the funny thing.
Mm-hmm.
The more tools that become developed, the further away from the technology we get, the easier it is to forget this stuff. Because I could have told you get post meta off the top of my head probably about a year ago.
Yeah.
The older I get, the easier it is for me to forget things.
No, I hear you. Yeah. But it's cool. I mean, like, that's what documentation is for. You go to documentation because you never remember everything,
Well, I have brain damage, so, therefore I have an excuse.
Okay, I'm hoping this is the right file.
And that's what happens when you play football too much.
You play football?
Oh, for years.
Oh, okay. I love football, man. That's my favorite.
Get to the head.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I finally found the what I was looking for in my my WP Rig theme.
WP Rig. All right. Look at that. You're using WP Rig.
It is extremely performant. It's really something. So let me see if I can change the font size here. Oops.
Yeah, WP Rig is a great starter theme.
It is, and I haven't actually customized it yet because I like things very very lean.
Yeah.
Hold on, I want to increase the font size here.
Okay.
Where am I? Colors, scrolling command, text. Why am I not seeing font size? Here it is. Okay, that should be enough. maybe I went too big.
Oh, wow. I see it now.
Yeah. So what we have here, and I bet you Jim already figured it out in his head while we were looking at it, is I created. Wait, let me scroll back up a little bit. This did not. No, that's fine. Okay, yeah. So what it is doing is looking for these values that are assigned to it. So get post meta, which was what Various was talking about earlier, and it's assigning the information that I have based on the slug, in this case reading, to if it's set to true, meaning it has data, and then listening if is the slug for what I'm listening to. If I was listening to a blog or some music, I use this on my my personal blog as kind of like a status update, sort of like how you would use Twitter to let's say I'm working on an article or something, and I just want to share what I was reading during that day or listening to. So if it is empty, it's going to, if it's not empty, sorry, this is it's for not. If either of those are not empty, then it will display the HTML current status. And then if it's not empty, it will display reading and listening. And if I go into one of my posts on my website, let me see if I have an example. Sorry, everyone's going to have to look at my boring dashboard. Oh yeah. I was writing this weird post about Utopia, and I was reading an article by an author that gave me the inspiration to write the post, and listening to a variety of music while I was writing the post rather than. So what you could do, Jim, maybe is use that post meta to determine whether or not that premium person is there, and if they are, then display the message, which you might already be doing. Does that sound right, guys?
You mean using the empty function, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about that, using the empty function, if it would output a Boolean of true or false, but
yeah, you could.
It already outputs a Boolean though, right?
Well, yeah, if you ran it to say if not empty, then it's true, right? So then you could base it off of a true or false type thing. I'd have to play with it to figure it out how to do it.
Cool though. I mean that's pretty cool. I mean, like, I have you published that or no? What your code?
Oh, the code? No, I probably should.
You working on it?
Yeah, I should probably publish this information and put it somewhere for post meta, because it's a little hard to find that information.
Well, I mean, only if you want to. You could also publish it on the blog if you wanted to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
If you don't, if you don't have to publish it all on there, but just whatever would be helpful.
Yeah, I could do that in the next couple days, but I'll use a standard theme.
Right. Okay, cool.
Yeah, because putting WP rig in there just adds a lot of confusing code.
Yeah, WP rig, it takes a whole instructional course to learn about how it works anyway, right?
Yeah, and I think it was like 2 hours long.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's quicker than learning how to use React.
Well, I mean, I know it's crazy, but React is one of those things that I've just avoided forever. But it's really just JavaScript from what I've heard.
Yeah,
it is JavaScript. Yes,
it's just they changed names of functions, I believe,
and probably added a few features.
It's the JSX that I'm not cool with, So, but that's a whole nother argument, So let's go back to good old template tags.
Yeah. Sorry, we did go off into an aside there.
No, it's all good. Technically, it's all within the WordPress ecosystem anyway, right? So I actually had pulled up a list of all template tags. I don't know if this is it right here. No, it was, go back here. Let's get post meta. Let's just go to the anatomy of a template tag really quick. Let's look at that really quick. So it's PHP code. We already know how that starts and ends. The WordPress template function is a PHP function that performs an action and displays information specific to your blog. And like a PHP function, a WordPress function is defined by a line of text, one or more. So this is grabbing the ID of the current post, the ID number for a blog entry or a post, which a blog entry is a post type. So there are post type, there are pages, post types. Everything in WordPress really is a post type. And then here's that blog info template tag right here, which is pretty cool. It has a lot of stuff inside of it. If I go to the function reference, it's got a whole list of parameters that you can use with it, like name, description, WP WordPress URL, admin email, car set, version, HTML type, just a lot within blog info. And then there's the content template tag. The content template tag, it's the most popular one, obviously, because it displays the content. And this is what Gutenberg is output through. And so there's that. Now there was an entire list. Let me see if I can find that list of template tags really quick. Because I pulled it up earlier. And list of template tags.
It doesn't Gutenberg shove all the JavaScript for a block into content?
Yeah, they do. Gutenberg shoves all of the JavaScript through that content tag, which is kind of interesting. They're going to. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
And it separates it with HTML comments.
HTML comments.
Yeah, which is weird.
It's very interesting because like it's its own parser. Like they built a parser within Gutenberg. Is like technically a parser, like the browser is a parser, and it parses through like JavaScript. They built a parser, which is pretty. I mean, just reading about it is kind of interesting. So here's all the template tags really quick. Get header, good footer. Well, I think I skipped some. No, I didn't. Get header, get footer, get sidebar. They're going to be outputting the widgetized Gutenberg stuff through get sidebar. So Gutenberg like state, actually, I don't know if it's in the current release, but it may have been in the current release where they already have sidebar widgets inside of Gutenberg.
Oh, I didn't even check.
Yeah, I didn't check either. It may be, it may not be there yet. But I thought it was going to be in November 12th today, yeah. Get search form, WP login, log out. Technically, what I used to do when I was first learning WordPress, all I used to do is go in and create a bunch of HTML markup, HTML, CSS, and put these little pieces all throughout and make an entire WordPress website. That's how I made a website. I would use template tags to build out the entire website. And technically, you can't, that's the way it's supposed to be done, but I was doing it in a very unsophisticated way, you know? But this is, all of these build out different aspects of a WordPress site. Single post title, blog info, WP meta. Now there's a difference between get blog info and blog info. So get blog info, I think it outputs the
it'll output the raw information.
Okay, yeah, so it outputs the raw.
Whereas blog info might style it in some HTML.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So and generally speaking, I could be wrong. When you see the word get, it's going to grab the raw information.
I think that's correct.
Get, it might echo out some additional
HTML markup, right?
Markup language.
Okay. Single cat title, that's category. Single tag title, single month title. But there's a lot of template tags. Here's some author tags, the author, get the author link. Then there's bookmark tags, WP list bookmarks, get bookmarks. What's powerful about each one of these template tags is I don't think any of them, like some of them need to be used within the loop, but most of them don't need to be used within the loop. Like the content needs to be used within the loop, you know, within the blog post. But most of these don't need to be used within the loop, and you can use them like anywhere. Bookmark tags, category tags, comment tags, comment author, comment text RSS, link tags, the permalinks, get permalink, get site URL. I mean, it's a lot of template tags. Like, these things are huge. And
what are those bookmark tags? What do they do? I never really thought of that. Is it for preferences when people bookmark your website?
Let's see. WP list bookmarks. Let's see what it does, because retrieve or echo all of the bookmarks. Let's see option. These options define how the category name will appear. List of default arguments are as follows. These options define how category will appear before the category links are displayed, categorized. If category is 0, then it will display for only the title list item string, or if the title list item is empty.
Kind of went over my head, but
yeah,
but I'm sure obviously it has something to do with categorizing information. So
retrieve or echo all bookmarks. So I'm thinking, hold on, let's look at order by, how to order links by. I'm thinking these are like, I may be wrong, because do you remember the link roll? Like the link roll that used to be part of core WordPress?
what does that do? What did it do?
So the link roll, they were like an individual post type where you can list a bunch of links, and you could drag this and put this in a sidebar.
Oh, right, yeah.
Blogs that I follow, you know?
Okay.
It was like a link roll. I'm thinking this may be that old school link roll.
It is. That's got to be what that is. I can't remember where that's displayed, though. I think it's probably hidden by default.
Yeah, I think it's hidden by default. They didn't remove it because obviously backward compatibility, but I'm thinking this is part of that old school link roll. And that's the best explanation I have. I've never used that template tag at all. Maybe in the past I have, but yeah, I don't remember using it at all. Let's see, bookmark template.php. Let's look at the bookmark template.php. Capitalized translation, bookmark template functions. Bookmarks array must contain the bookmark objects that will be iterated over to retrieve the bookmark to be used in this output. So I would, it just appears that these bookmarks are that link roll. They used to call it link roll, right? But there's link template as well. Look at that. Oh, that's link tags. Link tags. The link parameter. Okay, yeah, that's not the link roll. That's different. That's permalinks right there. All right, so
this is some old info. There used to be like a bookmarks bar.
Yeah, bookmarks are old school, but they're still included in WordPress, which is interesting. And then there's WP nav menu, which is pretty cool, because they're going to be outputting the Gutenberg nav stuff through WP nav menu, which is, it's going to really, I don't know, I think it's going to be interesting once we get the full page editing with Gutenberg. Kind of hard to see it at this moment, but I know it's coming.
Oh, I think it had something to do with the press this tool.
Oh, yeah. Oh, bookmark, press this tool. Okay, they removed that. They removed the press this tool, right?
Yeah, maybe we just discovered something in the documentation that needs updating.
Okay, maybe we should mark it as needing to be removed. I don't know. Are you able to edit the docs?
I could probably log in and ask a question over on the forum, the Slack. We went off topic, but maybe I'll just research it later.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
It might just be one of those functions that people just don't use anymore.
Right.
But they don't want to get rid of it because it's probably buried in some like really useful plugin somewhere that does something in the back end. I don't know.
Well, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't get rid of because WordPress is like super backwards compatible, right?
Right.
All right. Okay, here's some interesting info. I mentioned this, many template tags work within the WordPress loop. This means they are included in the template files as part of the PHP loop that generates the pages users see based on the instructions inside of the loop. So WordPress loop goes through database, grabs posts, outputs stuff, and then you can put certain template tags inside the loop. Template tags that work within the loop must be in the middle area before the ending section of the loop below. So right after have post, then in the post, and before the end while and else area. So some of the template tags that need to be inside of the loop include the content, the excerpt, and next post or previous post. So these like internal linking functions, next post and previous posts have to be within the loop. So if I were to go over to 2020, and I don't know if you guys can see that code. Let me see if I can zoom it in a little bit. But I was inside of the content, earlier I was inside of the content template, and I can open it back up. And inside of the content template, we have our loop. Well, we have, actually, this is just a content part. There's no part of the loop here at all. Everything inside of this is already inside of the loop because it's being pulled in, you know, in that area. And so we have get template part, which is pulling in the entry header and a featured image, or, you know, if it's a search result or if it's not a search result. And then the page template is being echoed out as a full page with .php file. And so if I were to open that, it would just pull us deeper into the code. But these are, like, everything within this content area is inside of the loop. Like, we don't see any of the loop here because this is being pulled in from, like, if I go over here to index and I search for content, there it is right here. So the loop is right here. If have post, while have post, the post. That's the loop. But then this get template part is pulling in this content file right here. And everything within this content file is within the loop already because it's being actually auto-loaded with this function. So some of these things have to be in the loop. Some of these things don't have to be in the loop. The content area has to be in the loop. And so if I go back over to the documentation, we got previous posts have to be in the loop. The main reason why some functions require the loop is because they require the global post object to be set. If the template tag you want to use doesn't have to be within the loop, like WP list, WP list cats, WP list pages. Yeah, these, you can use these outside of the loop and list all the categories on your blog. Or I've built menus the ghetto way by using WP list pages before, just to output a list of pages. Then you can put in any file you like, for instance, the sidebar, the header, the footer, template files. These are functions that typically do not require the global post object. So that's talking about the loop and what belongs in the loop, what doesn't belong in the loop. And then, like, this is like the ninja warrior aspect of template tags, which I use things like crazy. Conditional tags. And there's so many of them. Like, there's so many conditional tags. So read a little bit. Conditional tags can be using your template files to alter the display of content depending on conditions that the current page matches. They tell WordPress what code to display under specific conditions. So they're if-else tags normally. Where can you use them? It says conditional tags to modify your data. The information must already be retrieved from your database. The query must have already run. If you use a conditional tag before there's data, there'll be nothing to ask if-else statement about. It's important to note that WordPress loads functions.php before the query is run. So if you simply include conditional tag, if you simply include a conditional tag in that file, it won't work. Place two ways to implement conditional tags. Place it in a template file, number one. Number two, create a function out of it in functions.php that hooks into an action filter that triggers at a later point. So you can literally use conditional tags within functions.php. It just has to be within a hook that is triggered at a later point than the query or the actual post query is run. So I hope this is not like going too high level, but the loop we talked about, that doesn't run immediately. Functions.php runs before that. So if you ever use conditional tags within functions.php, you need to place that into a function that is triggered at a time after the loop is run. So that's all it's saying. And yeah. I've put conditional tags within functions.php like plenty of times. It's very useful to do it that way. But here's some of the conditional tags. Is home. This condition runs true when the main page is being displayed, usually in standard chronological order. If your home page has been set to static page instead, then this will only prove true on the page which you set as the post page in settings reading. So sometimes you use is home and is front page at the same time within a query to determine, and that's only when you create like a home.php file, because I've done that before, and maybe that's not the right way to. Home.php will override everything. So that's not the best way to do it. This condition, so if you use is front page, this condition returns true when the front page of the site is displayed regardless of whether it is set to show post or static page. So it returns true when the main page blog is being displayed, and number two, settings reading front page display option is set to your latest post. Or, I'm not going to read all of this out loud, because honestly, the more I read this out loud, the more I think, okay, I need to read that again. But these functions, the front page and is home, they're triggered at different times, and so I better read it. When settings reading front page displays is set to a static page, and so there's an and, the front page value is the current page being displayed. So if the front page is the current page that's being displayed, and the front page value that's set inside of settings reading page is set to a static page. So let's say you create a home page in the database, a static page. You set that as front page, and then that page is actually being displayed as the front page. Is front page will be triggered as true. So all of these are Booleans, which is cool. You can go with is single. You can use an ID. You can use the actual name. You can use a slug. You can combine these things in an array, is single array, and then you can say, okay, I want these 3 pages, but you're using slugs, IDs, and page names. Page names are tricky. I usually kind of stick with either slugs or IDs, because sometimes I get page names wrong.
Or people change the will change the name, the title of the page.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Like some client goes in and I was just changing the name of the page, and you just broke the entire website. I think I've had that happen to me before.
Yeah. I mean, they could damage all of this stuff when it comes to post ID. They could trash the post and delete it and then rewrite it.
Right. And that's why it's good to put checks and balances in there. So like you could say, if this exists, um, and then inside of that if statement, create whatever conditional statement you're going to have. Post type exists. Post type is hierarchical. There's so many. Just is page, very easy. And sometimes that's why it's good to think about how you're developing this stuff, because a client can easily destroy something you've written and made in code, and they go in and delete a post, change the slug, change the ID, change the page name. Yeah, but these conditional tags are super awesome. I'm not going to go through all of them though.
Oh, wow. Checking if the installation is multi-site.
Yeah, it's multi-site.
Yeah.
Has nav menu assigned. I'm trying to look for some ones that are really helpful. Is attachment. I remember there was one site that I created for a jeweler, and I used like conditional tags like really in depth on that website. And basically I was looking at each post was like a piece of jewelry, and they'd have like 4 or 5 images on that post. And sometimes they didn't have they didn't have enough images on there. Or sometimes they wanted to display a video. It was interesting, but I used is attachment, to display conditionally different types of images, different types of videos, depending on whether or not the client had uploaded and changed that. And then, it was a really interesting project, even developed into like a cart where people could favorite their whatever jewelry they wanted on there. It was a very in-depth project.
Yeah, I used is attachment to adjust the this is where is single and is singular are different somehow.
Right.
I believe is attachment is a singular item, but not a single post, or maybe it's vice versa. But one of those will include attachments. And I had created a page so that it would display the entire description as well as the title. And if the attachment was something like a PDF, then it would display a button where you could download the PDF instead of just plain text, just to make things look a little prettier.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that's kind of a little conditional thing that can come in handy, especially if you have a ton of stuff uploaded to a website.
Yeah, and I think that's where, whenever you're dealing with clients who are uploading different things and they need things displayed conditionally, these conditional tags just really rock. You can overdo it though. It is possible to go to conditional tag overkill. And that's another thing to be careful about. But look at this. All of these. Here's an index.
I can create a custom 404 page.
Wow.
If this page is 404, then display an animated GIF.
Right. And this is creating custom templates, and if you're using a page builder, you're not doing this stuff,
Yeah.
You may do it.
That's a good point. You could be doing it,
but it's highly unlikely. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the developer that grudgingly installed the page builder probably did a little bit.
Yeah, maybe he probably put it in a plugin because he was probably trying to do best practices too. So, but yeah, this is template tags. those are conditional tags.
There was one that said is day that, and I suspect that grabs day of the week or time of day.
Where is that?
Is underscore day. Is day.
Is
yeah, right there. What does that do?
Well, it also has his night, you know.
Yeah, I know, right? When a daily archive is being
Oh, a
displayed.
daily archive. Oh, so like, let's say you have 7 posts that you wrote in the same day.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I forgot that exists. I was hoping it was a way to tell whether or not it's night or day, based on the server clock or something.
You know, actually, technically, you could create something like that with these template tags in PHP, right?
Probably, yeah.
Create a custom function. And then
right there is time.
What's that? Wait, didn't the date function just get updated in 5.3?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if that had anything to do with that. I think it had to do with
it didn't have anything to do with this conditional, but
no. Let me take a look. Wow, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but the dashboard has some really nice high contrast borders now.
I saw. Well, yeah, I saw them like, this is like different. Accessibility. That's accessibility. Yeah, it looks, and they even changed the coloring of it a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
I was like, this doesn't look like WordPress. Then I started thinking, okay, accessibility. It definitely looks, you can tell the difference.
Yeah, it also, I see I have a custom dashboard colors, right, that you could set in your user information.
Right,
And
underneath.
it will create borders with those highlight colors in a few places. But it didn't look like they changed the post date picker very much.
Oh, they didn't change that?
Didn't look like it. But like if you go to pages, you'll see what I mean. It'll show it'll show that orange highlight where it says search pages and filter apply. Those used to be dark buttons with like you know, a colored background. Now it's just a colored outline.
Oh wow! Yeah, no, I remember.
Got rid of the row background foreground.
Yeah, you think they did all of that for the sake of accessibility?
Yeah, and I think they probably did a little bit of it to make it look similar to the Gutenberg block editor styles, because the Gutenberg editor uses a lot of outlines on their buttons.
Oh, okay.
And so it looks like it just makes a more cohesive theme.
It's definitely, I mean, you can tell there's a difference, you know? Well, change is good.
So if you go to the info picker, it'll give you it will inspect your markup.
What this right here?
Yeah, that one right there. Content structure. Is that going to let you click it?
Oh, I don't have any content in here yet.
Oh.
Let's add some content. Add a little bit.
Yeah, add some headlines out of order, and you'll see what it does. This is kind of interesting. So, like, put in an H3 instead of an H2.
All right, so that's H3.
See, it'll tell you incorrect heading level. Isn't that sweet?
That's pretty cool.
I'm such a nerd, but that's awesome. You can go in.
Well, it helps with keeping it semantic, which is great.
Yeah.
Well, accessibility says that you have to go in the right order.
In proper order. Wow. Mm-hmm. That's actually really interesting, man. That's great. Wow. Well, and I mean, and you know, that's actually really how you write semantic HTML. You know, you write it in order, and most people who are creating websites don't understand HTML. You know, they weren't around when we had to run the what was the validator.
Oh yeah.
I was big on the HTML validator, and I wrote
Still around.
I know, right? I wrote. You know, it was funny because in college I was really like a nerd on the HTML validator, and I punished my classmates because they didn't write semantic HTML. I'm like, take it to the validator. It was funny. They hated me, man. They hated me.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because the validator cracked the whip, man. But this is cool because it's like an internal validator. It's not really like a validator. It'd be nice if it gave a little error, like a red error.
I was just thinking that it would be nice if it had a little red star pop up next to the info icon.
That would be kind of annoying, but it would actually help people to correct stuff because red is a color that, you know, it's obviously very powerful. But yeah, that's interesting, man.
Well, when I'm writing a blog post, I tend to look at that little info thing all the time anyway, and that's kind of when you'd want to use it anyway when you're actually actively writing.
Right.
That's good. That helps SEO to get your headlines in order.
Yep, it does help. It helps all around because it helps SEO, it helps accessibility, and it helps with just having proper semantic HTML. So, which that's cool. Awesome. So, I don't think I have anything else, guys. I think we covered template tags pretty well.
I learned a lot.
Cool. You want to throw anything else in?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, I guess that's pretty much it. I appreciate you guys for coming. I got to run to the store. All right.
We can't program a template tag to do that for us.
I wish, man. That'd be so.
I have an automation tool.
Is fridge empty? Then go to store.
Right.
I have an automation tool that can do it.
That can run to the store for me? That'd be nice. Hey, let me borrow it.
It'll call the the food delivery service people, place your order, use your credit
What?
card.
Wow. See, I need to set up something like that.
Well, just give me your credit card and I'll take care of that for you.
No.
Yeah, I'll charge you $20 for a can of soda.
Hey, it's service charge right there. Service charge. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming, and hopefully we'll have a new venue soon. So have a good night, okay?
Cool. Talk to you later. See ya.
Right. Peace out.